Welcome to this week's episode of Fearless Flight Live. Particularly excited because we got a special guest tonight, and this guy is going to blow you away with his story and all that. So at this time, I would like to bring our special guest in. So Tom, if you want to come on board here, I'll stop the share and I'll introduce you. This is a fella that I met, a young man. He's definitely younger than me, that's for sure. And we met, oh my gosh, at least 3-4 years ago, Tom?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And Tom was living in LA. I think you drove to Phoenix, I think, the first time
That's correct. Yes, I did.
Yeah. And we had a flight. And there's another one of our followers, Wendy Moy, and two other people, or Tom and one other person. We did a flight, just the four of us, and you flew with us, and it wasn't super, but you got through it, right? If I remember, and
Yeah,
so
that's correct.
so and I'm gonna kind of set this up. I was joking with Tom before we started tonight, and I said people always want to know who was the worst person, the hardest fearful flyer. We're going, right. And I said, I'm going to tell him it was you, Tom. That's not true. But you were certainly one of the most determined. And I want to give you credit for that, because it was inspiring to watch you do this. And I got another slide. I want to share a couple of slides here, and then I'm going to quit talking, and we're going to talk. You and I are going to talk more. But anyway, so these are texts. Tom and I were hugely connected over this time. And what was it? Was it maybe 6 months or a year? Up and down, up and down. Would you say, Tom?
That's correct. Yes, I was going back and forth for a very, very long time. It took a lot of time.
And I went back through my chat here, and so this was particular January 15th, 2022. I don't know if you remember this, but yeah. So tell people what had happened this day. It says, I'm so disappointed. The issue is when it's flying. So talk about this, because you would remember it better than I would. What was going on here?
Let me look at this. So every single time there was an issue, something was breaking up with me when I was boarding the plane. So I was always determined to go to the airport. I was able to board the plane. As soon as I board the plane, something was breaking up. I couldn't do it. I felt like I was entrapped. I couldn't contract myself, and I had to get out. It was always that was the same situation. But each single time, I was getting closer, closer, and closer to make the flight. So I was staying longer on the plane, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I was leaving before boarding door closure. So I was making small baby steps.
Yeah. So the pressure, it was like an allergy. It would just get worse and worse and worse. And you get up to board, and you got on and flew with this the first time we flew, but then you had some setbacks, right? Where you had to, and this was one of them, if I remember right.
Yeah. So what happened? I was able to fly with you, with Captain Eric and flight attendant Diane. I had no issue to fly with you guys, but every single time I was trying to fly by myself, I couldn't do it. It was just too much for me. So I know I took a few classes with you. We're doing flights from Phoenix and from Burbank, and they were very, very helpful. They were very helpful to go through the full process.
Yeah. And one of the people on that flight, Wendy Moy, she organized the trip, and you flew with her once, I think, too. So the thing I
flew one way.
One way. Okay, that's right. That's right. One way, and then you drove home. But the thing I want to emphasize is you never gave up. And I remember specifically one day after, I think it was after this flight, that we spoke on the phone, and you said, I just don't think it's for me. And I remember you were on the verge of giving up. And what I remember, usually what I say, and I think this is what I said to you that day, I said, try not to make that decision today, because you're at the depths of your despair and all that, and you didn't. And that, pat yourself on the back, because that was incredible. So we continued to talk, and you and I did some coaching and stuff like that. And then, this is my favorite one. Okay, that you wrote me, and this looks like, and I don't have all the details between the 17th of April and the 19th, but on the 19th, you got on the airplane by yourself, and you made it. And do you remember, was this the beginning of consistently flying,
Yes.
or you didn't have any backslide after this, right? You kept
That's
flying.
correct. So what happened that day, I just woke up in the morning. I had no plans to fly. Just something came to my mind. We're gonna do it today. Okay, so I booked my last minute tickets of Southwest. I drove to the airport. I was so confident I'm gonna do it. Yes, as soon as we board the plane, I was crying. I broke down. I was like, oh my God, again, this is happening. But the flight attendant, she was very, very helpful. She hugged me and everything. I explained what's happening. Hey, I'm scared. I'm trying to go through this. Please help me, because if I walk away, that might be the last time. She introduced me to the pilots. It's very good to talk to those pilots. We check the weather going back and forth. They assure me the weather is pretty good. You know, you never know. Might be bumpy, but they said nothing shows on the radar. It's gonna be smooth flight. So she sat next to me. She sat next to me during the entire boarding process. They closed the door, and as soon as they closed the door, I was like, I'm feeling comfortable. Something happened in my mind, just broke like this. I'm doing this, and I really felt comfortable. Once I took the first flight to Phoenix, I couldn't wait to take the flight back. And then I was flying slowly by myself. The next, I took few flights to Phoenix. Then one I met you at the airport. I flew from Phoenix to Miami. A week after that, a week after that, I flew to Poland. No issues.
That's right. I remember you flying to Phoenix, and you just flew to Phoenix. And in part, what I remember is because there was some weather forecast and stuff. So now you were raising the stakes along there. So you started flying, and this is my favorite part. I don't think I've ever had any. So now you've got some splaining to do. So who is this? It looks like somebody who works for the airlines. What the hell is up with that?
I don't know how happened. Just one day I decide, hey, I always like aviation. I was always enjoying the plane. I was doing IT my entire life. Hey, let's change the career. I want to keep flying. I just like flying, going to different places, meeting different people. So I applied for Delta Airline. I got hired, and I have been flying for 1 year. It's gonna be 1 year in 3 weeks.
That's incredible.
So that's congratulations, man.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Immersion recovery stories I think I've ever heard of.
Thank you, guys. It would definitely not happen without Capt Ron, Eric, Didier, and flight attendant Diane. All the tools, guys, you provided, a harmonizer, all those coaching classes, they were definitely very helpful. I appreciate that.
And it's, again, I want to make sure that everybody realizes, that it was you that did this. I don't care, we have resources and we love helping and all that, but it takes commitment, and it takes persistence and never giving up, that is. So just for people watching you or listening to you out there, when you're flying now, I mean, you have to have had experienced some turbulence, right?
Yes. Yeah,
so what's it like now? What's it like?
I'm enjoying this.
That is amazing, because that's what you used to get off, right? And
exactly.
It's just, I mean, I got goosebumps all over. It's so amazing to see you, Tom, and to look at where you've come and all this. And have you ever seen anybody that's come on that you can tell that they're afraid to fly since you've been flying now?
Yes, I got two people. One of them I gave you a business card. One person I was holding her hands all the time during the descent. Salt Lake City usually is bumpy, especially right now it's even more bumpy. So I was holding the person's hand all the time during the descent and landing. One person I gave you a business card. So there was like two people like a more extreme that I was happy to help. I see people stressed. When it's getting bumpy, I see people stressed. But hey, nothing happens. It might be uncomfortable. Nothing's gonna happen. Those pilots are very trained. They know weather ahead of time. They divert. Like last time, I was waiting 7 hours at the LAX airport before going to Phoenix for safety reason, because there was huge storm by Phoenix. So they're not gonna fly through the storm. So everyone is afraid of turbulences, so you're gonna die, you're gonna crash. You will not crash, you will not die. Everything is done ahead of time. They have to go around, they're gonna go around. They have to cancel the flight, they'll cancel the flight. It's pretty safe, might be uncomfortable, but it's pretty safe. And I'm enjoying this. I love sitting in the aft because it's more bumpy.
So now you're enjoying the bumps.
Yeah.
I gotta ask him a couple questions. 'Cause I can't stop
Yes, sir.
myself. So, Tom, you can punish me later for this, but I just can't help myself. Will you tell everybody watching what that jumble of propellers on the shelf is over your head? Tell them what that is behind you on the shelf. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a drone. I used to build drones, custom drones. So that's a quadcopter. The second one is a little bit bigger. So yeah, I was building drones, programming them by myself, like a racing drones. Yes.
So, Tom, you're a certified UAS, unmanned aerial system or remote pilot, what the FAA calls it. Everybody else just colloquial says drone. You're a certified
correct.
drone pilot, aren't you? I'm getting a horrible vision in my head and it won't go away. I'm sure your company won't allow it because they're not one of the bigger jokers out there. But I somehow see you in uniform flying the drone up and down the inside of the with cocktails on the top to serve to the passengers, and you probably have the ability to do it. Just if you ever decide to do that, make sure and get cell phone video of it for everybody.
Yeah.
We'll do it for sure.
Yeah.
So for those flights, when you stop service because it's bumpy, you can still serve. You can serve them remotely with the drones.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. So we got some space here for a little like a drinks, you know.
Yeah,
It's
right,
flights.
right.
I'm
So
gonna-
have you shared with the crew, any of the crews that where you've traveled and how far you've gone or come in the last year? Or anything? Probably
some
not.
of them,
Yeah.
some of them they know the truth, but not all of them. Usually the crew is, we're always, the trip is always 3 days. We always stay 3 days together. It's like a 12 flights in
Yeah,
3 days,
yeah.
4 flights a day. We stay like a family, trying to be a nice, we have to survive 3 days, right?
Yeah.
But we don't share too many private informations. I don't know what is it, but you're trying to keep politics and family away from the business.
Sure. And do you? Oh, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
You could make up different places you're from every time when they notice your accent. You could have an immense amount of fun with that too.
It happens all the time. Recently I'm flying the lead position all the time, so I'm the one doing all those announcements.
Right.
People ask sometimes, so where are you from? I say, go ahead and guess, All the pilots ask me when I'm doing the briefing before the flight, okay, you tell me where you're from. And believe me or not, I met 2 Polish pilots born in Poland. They're flying for Delta.
Yeah. Before I retired, I would train new pilots that we hired, and we had in one class, we had 15 new pilots, and 12 of them were from outside the United States. One was from Russia, one was from Afghanistan, which was really unusual. And I usually would go around the class and I'd ask them what was their motivation, when did they want to become a pilot or why and all that. And so the Russian fella, he came through, he talked about that. And then the Afghanistan pilot, he came in, he says, I was on the ground when the Russians were bombing us. And he said, I wanted to be up there instead of down there. That was one of the funnier exchanges we had. But anyway, what kind of equipment are you flying?
So we're certified on every single plane that Delta owns. So your 737, 757, 767, Airbus 221, 220, 319, 321, and the big ones that I don't fly, 350, 330. So I don't fly the big ones.
Okay. And are there any of them that you like better than the others from the service?
I prefer Airbus for some reason. They're more modern. The IFE system is easier to navigate.
Yeah.
When you're closing the door, you don't have to mess with the gird bar because it's all on the switch. It's all on the switches, and they are smaller, like the baby planes,
Yeah. So are you guys? Does Delta have those new 220s, Airbus 220s? And have you flown on those at all? They're like regional jets, but I heard they're pretty nice airplanes.
They're very nice. The engines are very loud. So when you're taking off from Santa Ana, you don't hear those engines going crazy. They're like
Yeah.
that.
And are there 2 flight attendants on those, or
it's always minimum 3. We don't have 2.
Okay, cool. Anything else that you can think of? I mean, it's just so good to talk with you. We haven't spoken for a while. I've been watching. You've been active on Facebook and all that, and I really encourage people in the Birds of a Feather to reach out to you to hear your story and your experience, because you really were one of the people who was really struggling with that, and you were very open and honest and stuff, and I really appreciated that about you. But you never gave up, and I'm so glad to have met you, because it's really,
it was difficult. The beginning was very difficult. I remember my first flight I did with you with our firefighter, with Wendy. Was bad. You know how bad it was. I was crying. I was shaking. Was really bad. I never knew that time how far I can go. But if I can do it, anyone can do it. You just have to believe in yourself. Be confident. Believe in it. Like I believe in the law of attraction. You have to believe you can do it. Like if you fail tomorrow, don't say to yourself, "I failed." No, you did not fail. You just made another steps and another step. Keep making progress, believe in yourself. Definitely listen to those guys here I see in front of me. Harmonizer was very useful. At the beginning of my journey, I was using Harmonizer. That was really working.
Yeah. And one of the things that
actually, Ron, hold on. We got a couple comments. Just Wendy actually commented on how she was coaxing you Long Beach, I think, or something.
Wendy
like
was
that.
a big part of your success.
Yes.
I missed that flight. That was flight from Long Beach to Reno. I didn't go.
Yeah.
And then two questions for you, Tom. The first one has to do with what we call triggers. So the question is, what was your biggest trigger? So what was the thing that set off your fear and for so long kept you from flying? What was that trigger for you?
So that was the CAT, the clear air turbulence. When the plane is flying, all of a sudden you can drop. I was always scared of this. But I have done almost 400 flights in this last year.
400?
Yes, didn't happen in a single time. But you have to go over this. So during the training with Delta, we have a training with pilots. They explain the four situations. You're not dropping like this. You might drop maybe 5-10 feet. It just feels like it's a lot because at that speed, it feels. So once you learn the four physics behind it and what's happening with the plane, you understand that it's not that bad. You might feel it like you're very violent, but it's not that bad. So my biggest trigger was the CAT, the clear turbulence. But once I understood how it works, I was like, it feels like bad, but it's less than roller coaster. It's less than bumps on the road.
Yeah, Eric and I are always hard on authors that write articles about turbulence, and they talk about plummeting. Let's just say it takes you a second. It's usually about 1/10 of that, but in a second, and you drop 6 inches or something like that. In that second, you actually move forward about 800 feet. So it's like hardly are you plummeting. You're still flying the whole time. So anyway, any other questions?
Yeah, the second question was because that person came in a little late. So what ultimately, I think they just saw the expletive and fear. So what was it that ultimately made it click in you where you said, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna commit to myself and I'm gonna do this.
And in context, when I wrote that FU, the fear, that was you getting ready to get on an airplane. So that wasn't okay, I quit. That was okay, I'm gonna do it anyway. Go ahead.
So that was the process. I was listening to Harmonizer for weeks. I was meditating every single day and trying to manifest myself. I have done it. I just flew. Everything in the past tense. It already happened. So I have done it. I flew. I was meditating every single day. I was using Harmonizer every single day. And I was forcing myself to go through the airport. Even if I knew I'm not going to fly, just go to the airport. Do not give up.
Yeah. I remember
but you were doing what Olympic athletes do. Yeah. And that is, you're literally
visualizing.
we are visualizing and not just seeing it, but actually feeling it with your entire body, just the same way like you felt the fear before, and now you were actually experiencing yourself moving through the process.
Yes.
And for all those people that don't know what the harmonizer is, the harmonizer is part of our Fearless Flight Kit, and it's a 32-minute audio, and we also have a video, but it's an audio program that uses bilateral stimulation to,
which is something that we use in EMDR to that
exactly
actually
harmonize
Yeah.
your hemispheres.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
then and,
It really
and when
works.
you go
I
ahead,
was
go ahead.
using the harmonizer really works. I was using this on my first flight, my first flights. I was listening this all the time during the flight. That's gonna take your mind out of the fear. Now, like Ron said before, one day he said, there is no such a thing as a multitasking. You cannot think about few different thoughts at the same time. Your brain is switching thoughts. So if you're listening up the harmonizer, you're taking your mind out from this, or doing the math, 2, 4, 8, 16, 12, or using the left hand, which is not your dominant hand, like Ron advised, and writing in the sentences. You get your mind out from this. If you keep doing this, you're gonna condition your mind that this is okay.
And in the absence of filling your mind with things like that, you fill it with anticipatory anxiety. And that's what the downfall was for you. Your anticipatory anxiety got so peaked that you just simply couldn't go on. So when you do things like that, and that's a hard thing to understand, because it seems so esoteric to talk about how can you prepare or plan for an airplane ride when you don't have the airplane. Well, you really don't. But what you do is you fill your mind with other things that you can now kind of generate new thought patterns and new thought habits, so that now when you get on the airplane, it doesn't automatically go south on you or go off track. So anyway, well, and I just, again, I could just praise you all night, Tom. It's just awesome. I mean, I get when you send me these pictures of you, it's just, and I knew it had to be close to a year, but I didn't know you were coming up on your 1-year anniversary. And we're talking just barely 2 years ago. You had no concept that you would ever do it and talked about giving up. And now you're doing it for 400 flights. Oh my gosh. And you don't have to pay for them either now. So they pay you. Not much probably, but they pay you. So anyway, congratulations, Tom. And you are an inspiration for everybody. Yeah, this has been awesome to have you on.
That's incredible, Tom. Really incredible. Congratulations, and keep having fun telling the rest of the crew where you're from, and just keep changing it up all the time. Tell them, just tell them East Texas and leave it there and see what they say.
Yeah. All right. So just to kind of recap, please keep coming back. Please consider becoming a Fearless Flyer Club member. If you have no concept of what the next step is, I would suggest joining the FFC, because that's the thing that's going to keep you in the same world that Tom put himself in, because we didn't have the Fearless Flyer Club at that time when you were doing that. And you just got to keep coming back. It's a process, and everybody's got to work to get their own little aha moments. And so consider that, and you'll never look back. And the ultimate is, people ask me, can I ever get to the point where I don't think about flying anymore? Well, here's living proof. Not only can you get to that point, but you can get somebody to pay you to get to that point. And that's why it's just such incredible. When you told me that you were considering going to work for Delta, I said, are you kidding me? That was the last thing in my mind when we first met. So anyway, congratulations once again. And thanks again, Eric and Dieter for joining us here tonight. Thanks to all you out there. In the absence of any more questions or anything, we'll bring this to a close, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of Fearless Flight Live. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and
thank you.
Those airplanes. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.